What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And Daniel Acevedo.
I'm back. Let's do it. Let's go.
What's going on? So Chris was unable to make it this week. He's a little under the weather. As you can hear, I am also under the weather, but he's got to deal with it, right? So please continue to tune in. Again, we're having like this huge surge of traffic the past couple of months, and we greatly appreciate it. So I just don't want it to go away. So please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit up on the platforms that go by our name, The Other Side of the Firewall, The Other Side of the FW, or Ask a CISSP. This will be the beginning of season 3. You're like, what is season 3? So season 3, I like to shift the seasons when we have new avenues to showcase the platforms. This is the first week where we're going to be on 99.1 FM out there in the Atlanta metro area, as well as channel 10 in the Fairfax, DC area. So definitely super excited. Welcoming new audience members, as well as thank you to the ones who've been here from day one for getting us where we're currently at. So without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article actually comes from darkreading.com. And it's written by Becky Bracken. And the title of this one is Russian Trolls Pose as Reputable Media to Sow U.S. Election Chaos. So we've been through this before, right? Where we come to Russian meddling when it comes to like election interference and misinformation, disinformation, things of that nature. Well, they're back at it again, and they're getting a little bit better at it, right? So what they're doing is, we've talked about it on the show before, where we talk about, fact checking, going to proper sources and things of that nature. Where they're getting smart is that they're even starting to spoof those, right? They're saying, okay, we know people are going to start fact checking now, right? Like they caught us in 2016, so we're going to get a little bit better at it, right? 8 years later, that's a lot of time to get it right, I guess you could say, right? But so what they're doing is they're and again, in this day and age, it's a lot easier with AI and getting smarter, and it's just lesson learns, right? Like, so in the military, we all know we have our after action reports, right? So they probably had something out there where they were like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is our campaign. What's our after action? What's our AAR for this, right? What's our after action report? And like I said, they're just getting better. They're getting better at putting the real logos on things for legitimate media sources and things of that nature. So it's getting harder for you to try to determine what is actually fake news out there. And it's just one of those things where this is what we have to be on the lookout for, right? So I tell my wife this all the time, right? Whenever she tries to find information, I say, find it in at least 3 spots, right? I tell her whenever she looks something up, don't just go by the first one you see and be like, okay, that's it, right? Like, find it in 3 spots and make sure they're somewhat close in what they're saying, right? But Russian trolls, they're getting better at this, man. So people out there, be careful, okay? Just make sure you're looking at multiple sources to try to weed out what may be fake out there. You know what I'm saying? They're getting better at this. You know what I'm saying? But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this?
Man, we've talked about this in other episodes a lot, for a lack of better words, this is kind of the new, right? This is kind of the society we're living in, where, social media has opened the door to this platform of misinformation. There's always been misinformation, especially in politics and in war and in governance, but the level and the easiness that it's at right now is at all-time high, and it's just going to get worse. I don't know if it was just an inefficiency or a lack of manual and automated checks in social media platforms for information, or there's just too much information to, filter. I don't know where the crux of the issue is actually stemming from, but I don't know if the onus will be on the platforms that allow these things to get posted, or if the government is going to start intruding into putting harsher, regulations on these things. And we've seen it with, Twitter or, no, not Twitter. Is it Twitch, TikTok? Which one I'm thinking about that they moved it off the US? TikTok and ByteDance. Then there's a huge pushback from there because, the general populace is like, hey, why is the US intruding on these things that it's just, social media platform. There's a lot, social networking and people out there making money off of it. But us in the community, and then even in the intelligence community, even more so than us, knows the dangers that are there. And I think, when it comes to the political campaigns and these things, this can really sway things in the wrong direction. And there's very little that the normal person can do to know what's real and what's not real. So I see that's the trend of where this is going to go. I just don't know the back and forth between the government, if they're even going to put the onus on like the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Instagrams of the world to, hey, put better protections in place to, figure out if these things are legitimate, are they nation state, sourcing, how things are posted, how things are pushed out into the interweb and into society as a whole. Shane, you want to say something? Go for it.
I do. So like, here's the thing. I agree with what you're saying, but then you go into that fine line of crossing to where people that are getting some of that information are like, well, is the government interfering at that point, right? Because we're starting to see that now. We're like, did the government interfere and say you can only have these things on there? Was the fact checking legitimate, or was it this? Was it that? That's what you kind of run into when you do that. But I agree with you. I'm with you on let me do that.
We won't agree in our community because of our backgrounds and stuff like that. And, we're talking about cybersecurity and what we want out of the better of society. But there will be always that, hey, this is the freedom of speech. This is my avenue to make money or to make a better place for my family and for myself. But Ryan, I don't know. Do you think that the government would push back on this, or what do you think this is actually going to go towards?
Disinformation will be our downfall. It is the new weapon of mass destruction, in my opinion, right? So you see movies like Leave the World Behind with Mahershala Ali, where that's the beginning of the end, right? That's how they get to us, because we outspend the rest of the world on the military, right? Like our budget for the Department of Defense laps the world a couple of times. So how do you get to us? You get to our people, you make them believe that the enemy is in the house. You know what I mean? The calls come from inside, and that'll be our ultimate downfall, unfortunately. So it is a weird balance. Like, you don't want the government to be too heavy-handed, because then now you're China, right? Where social media is, restricted. You have the great, firewall, and you just don't get a lot of information in, and the government uses that to their advantage. However, you don't want people to just be able to spread bad information and then cause civil unrest, riots. You can even cause people to harm themselves, or to, just destroy morale. Cyberbullying to a huge scale. So there has to be a balance, and I think they're getting better at it. But the ultimate tool, I think, is going to be AI, right? So when I go to the dumpster fire that is Twitter, or when I go to Facebook, there are now challenges to articles and things of that nature, and it says like, hey, this information is not correct. This is where it really came from. There's some kind of fact check. I believe a lot of it is human intervention, as well as there's some AI tools that are helping to source the actual where this information is coming from. Because right now there's a campaign out there besmirching Tim Walz. Like, I don't really know much about the guy, but it's literally lying about criminal activity he committed early in his career. Mm-hmm. And this is their way of getting in and saying, okay, be careful who you vote for. It's have doubts within this candidate. It's, it starts off with the trolls, and then it leads into somebody taking charge on the U.S. side and saying, like, we have to stop this, stop the steal, and yada, 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 right? So it's definitely something that has to be checked, especially during political season, but I don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's not just on the Democratic side too, right? So JD Vance has caught some of these strays too, right? Like he's doing stuff with couches and all that, right? So yeah, it's very prevalent out there right now with stuff like that, and it's easy because people aren't willing. If they already have a preconceived notion of things, they're not willing to look at it and question it.
Yeah, especially if you're feeding someone who's in a silo, right? Like they have this very myopic view about something, and then they're getting confirmation bias, saying like, I was, I'm correct, or what have you. So, I mean, as a person, as an intelligent person, you should be checking multiple sources for any of your news. But also, just don't feed the trolls. Like, don't argue with people on the internet, because some of them are doing it out of pleasure, and others are doing it out of this maliciousness. There's very few people who are going to sit there and argue with you on the internet. So, if this person's going back and forth with you, they might not be real. So, disengage.
All right, everybody. So this article also comes from darkreading.com, written by Tara Seals. And the title of this one is AI Chatbots Ditch Guardrails After Deceptive Delight Cocktail. So I hate to say I told you so. No, let me stop lying. I don't hate to say I told you so, but I'm telling y'all, like, AI is going to get us. All right. This This is how it happens. This is how it happens.
Tell me how you really tell me if you really feel. Tell me how you really
Right.
feel.
If you got it in for Warren, I got it in for AI. Like, but no. So like, in all seriousness though, right? Like this is just how this can happen, right? So like AI is no different from what we've had to deal with in the past. In a sense of there are vulnerabilities that need to be looked after, that need to be looked at, right? So what they're talking about here is doing prompt injections, right? And this has come up before. We've talked about doing prompt injections in AI and how it can give you bad results, give you undesired results, things you're not really looking for, right? And so this is something that's come up before, and it was several months ago. I want to say we did an article on it. We were talking about it, and we are talking about the injections and what it's actually doing. And the description they gave for this, right? It's kind of like this was kind of funny when I read it, and I was like, man, it makes sense. It's like a parent that gets tired of like not disciplining their child, but that gets tired of saying no, right? So like you give it something right, and then you say, okay, forget that and do this, right? And as many times as it does it correctly and doesn't give you the bad information, eventually as a parent, you just get tired of it, right? Like I've done it myself, right? Where my kids, if they keep asking, I'm just like, oh, fine. You know what I mean? Like this is what it is. AI is kind of the same way in what it's doing, in addition to guardrails, right? So this prompt injection, like I said, it could lead to different things, right? So like it's, when I reference like in cybersecurity and IT, we've been dealing with this for a while, right? Like it's the equivalent of like cross-site scripting, you know what I mean, and stuff we've done before AI, right? Just it performed. Let me not say it performed. 65% of the time, I think was the success rate. I think it was. Let me verify this in the article. I think it was 65%.
It was, yeah, 65%. Yeah.
Is how often they were bypassing the guardrails, right? So that's a fairly high percentage for, guardrails that are in place to try to keep you out. Like if it was a number in the single digits or something, I'm like, okay, maybe the cost of doing business, right? But 65%, that's over half that it made this happen. But yeah, this is something we got to look out for, folks. Like it's out there. We've done stories about this on the past. We actually brought it up a few weeks ago. I want to say we actually talked about it as well. But yeah, be careful out there, folks. Like the information going into these models are only good as the information going into them, right? So garbage in, garbage out. That's kind of how it is, and it's being successful at a 65% rate. So that's just a high number. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this?
No, definitely. Before we get into it, though, shout out to this week's article. It's bringing back great names. Operation Overload for Monday. Today was Deceptive Delight. I mean, just right back on brand for cybersecurity exploits. I love it. But in all seriousness, and like what Shannon was alluding to, injection attacks have been around forever, way before AI. There's some kind of the first exploits that hackers and malicious actors will try to do. In essence, hacking and this world of cybersecurity, we're always trying to break protocols to see if we can do it on the defensive side, right? Or we're always trying to look at our protections in place and see where the shortcomings are. Injection attacks are one way to do that, and it's very it's well known already. So I'm not surprised to see it in the AI, and we've talked about it in other articles. The fact with chat GPTs and LLMs, since it's not a technical thing you have to do for the injections, it's even easier to exploit. Now what's happening is that these people are learning more sophisticated ways and easier ways to get the results that they want to look for. So the article where it talks about is literally almost like overwhelming the LLM or the chat GPT or the GPT with different types of questions or information for them, the GPT to respond back with partial answer. And then you're asking it again to give you more information and more detailed information. And over time, it's just going to slowly give you the 1 through 10, the A through Z of some sensitive information. Where it gets really bad, and what the article alludes to, is when that is tied into online or anything that has to do with like emails or personal information or anything in your personal computer. But luckily, there's a lot of good information here about the OS, things you can do to protect yourself if you are using the GPTs, and things to look for to shore up some of these vulnerabilities. But I think the bigger thing alludes to, and kind of tying it back to yesterday's and Monday's article as well, is just the education of all this, right? We're moving into a world now where we have to fact check our sources. We have to double check things like the GPTs and the AIs of the world that we're going to be using day to day for school, work, and all these things. The education piece needs to really catch up to where we're living in the world day to day, right? And I don't know if that means starting at an earlier age and that being ingrained into it, not only like using the computer, but how do you protect yourself from the computer and from these resources as well? So you're not kind of like left blind for these kind of things. So if you listen to the other side of the firewall, then you're fine because you're listening to us and you know how to protect yourself already. But like,
Plug.
yeah, but I see a lot of this stuff going back to education and how we start this at a very low level at a younger age. Not only we're doing a good thing in society at using the computers in schools and teaching kids how to use them as they grow, but now we need to show people how to protect themselves alongside that. Those are my 2 cents, though. What do you think, Ryan?
Again, I gotta put it in there. Gotta insert it. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We got a newsletter comes out. It's supposed to be every week. Now it's coming kind of bi-weekly. So I'm working on it. I'm trying to get back to consistency. But it's called the rundown, just like the final episode of every week. But to go back on topic. So I mean, it's really social engineering for robots is kind of what's happening right now, right? But it works against humans. It works against robots. It works against everybody. I think the cure or the mitigating aspect of it has to be that you insert a human being back into the loop. I hate to say it, but you never get rid of us. Even no matter how good AI becomes, you're always going to need a person to be there to discern bad human behavior. It's just the way it is. These things are kind of still childlike, but even when they become more sophisticated, right? Like talking about the next GPT will be the graduate level and things of that nature. You're still going to need a human being in the loop somewhere to decipher when somebody's trying to do something malicious. Google used it back in, I think it was like 2014, 2015. I was in it with a project. I was looking for like off-duty work when I was active duty and like work from home before remote work was a thing. So Google had this thing where you could be part of a team, and what it would be was they would give you search results, but for your local area. So it's like this term or this phrase can mean something different to anyone depending upon where they're located. So they would send it to a team locally to decipher, like, okay, does this make sense for your area? Is it appropriate? So like, I'm just making something up because I can't remember back that far. But like if somebody was searching for like P Town, right? What does that mean in your area? Like, oh well, Pocosin is right next door, so maybe they're searching for something to do with Pocosin, as opposed to some other place like Philadelphia or what have you, Punxsutawney, where Punxsutawney Phil's from, right? In Pennsylvania. So it made it so that way it would be able to make sure that the person searching within your area was searching for something that was context, there you go, sensitive, your area, your demographic, and or locality. So you still needed people because even though the algorithm is strong, it could not decipher across every single locality if this made sense. You're going to need something like that for ChatGPT and all the other LMMs at some point as well, because it's context sensitive. Like, what does that mean for you or your area? What are they searching for? Like, even culturally, the way words are used, right? Like, they're used differently between different cultures. You're always going to need a person for that. It's just the way it is. So I think that'll be the cure, but we'll see.
All right, everybody. So this article actually comes from infosecurity-magazine.com, and it is by, let me get down here, Beth Mondrill. And the discussion for this week is inequity challenges women in digital trust, but progress is being made, right? So this is what we like to see, right? So like if progress is being made when it comes to women getting into the digital trust industry, like it could be made across the board for everything else, right? Like that's the purpose of the podcast, is to highlight people of color who have gone on to that other side, right? That have crossed over and trying to get into that. What was it, 7% in the C-suite or something like that? Was a number? What's the most recent number?
Yeah, woefully low.
Woefully,
Yeah, woefully low.
So, but the study they have revealed that there are women out there who are getting better, right, when it comes to terms of career progression, right? Because that's one of the things they were talking about, is women being a little stilted in the industry. And so when it comes to career progression, men and women are found to be satisfied, right? So for the men, they say 72% are satisfied. Women, 68% are satisfied, right? But when it came to like getting a raise and getting promotion in the last 2 years, they found that women were actually slightly more likely than men to have had a raise and a promotion in the last 2 years, which is a good sign, right? We're making progress,
Nice.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. So for women, it was 73% were more likely than men, which was 71% to have had a raise or promotion in the last 2 years. So this is what we like to see, right? So to see it when it comes to the realm of the sexes and getting more equality in that. Like, I like to see that, and I'd like to see it turn around to where with the races as well, right? Because we all know, for me at least, I'd like to see it represent the proportion of whatever the population is, right? So, like
Right.
in the last census, when it came to Black people in America, it was 16%. It's up to 16%, right? So at least close to that. I'd like to see that, out there. But yeah, this was a good study they did. It was a good survey they did there, where they were talking to the different races between men and sexes, men and women, to determine who was satisfied. There's still some work to be done, right? Like, there's still some stuff there that needs to happen. But it's not just when it comes to when it comes to the cyber world or IT world, where there's inequality when it comes to women being paid and promoted, right? That's across the board, right? So it's good to see the progress. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this?
No, definitely. I mean, I'm a dad daughter or a girl dad. I don't know what the phrase is, but
Girl dad,
yeah. And you guys know me well enough. I'm crazy in love with my daughter. She's my world. Like really, really love her to death. So these things kind of creep more into my consciousness now. I think. I mean, I never saw it as like us versus them, or really inclusive. Our podcast kind of circles around that. But I think now, embracing my minorityism, my Puerto Rican heritage, I miss my island, I love my people. But now the focus does shift over to my daughter a lot, and where is her place in the world when she's going to be growing up? What are the opportunities for her? Not only just, the bullying stuff, but like, will she have the right opportunities and chances? I looked at it more before. You're always kind of like in a bubble, going backwards in my mind as I'm saying this. Right? When I was in Puerto Rico, I only thought about what was on my island, and then I joined the military, and you kind of see the U.S., and there's a lot more, and traveled all over the world, and now I live here in Japan. And kind of like the rights of people, races and sexes worldwide, I still think there's a big imbalance, especially when you're talking about worldwide and like what women are allowed to and not to do in these different countries. And even here in Japan too, there's a big inequality of the pay and the ranks and positions for females. It's gotten a lot better over the years compared to what it's before, just like it has in the US. But it's good to see associations like ISACA doing these kind of studies, taking the time to talk to both men and women, demystifying this conversation. I feel like is a good thing too, right? You see a lot of the social media things where they talk about like, hey, what do you do for work? How much do you get paid? I think the more information everybody has, it kind of helps everybody else out to then, at the time of trying to get more for yourself and going to your employer, having the information to back it up to know what is a good deal for yourself. So I think the more things like this it can be done, the more we know where the playing field is, and we can better it for both sides, or for everybody actually. Those are my thoughts in a nutshell. Great article.
Definitely. So I think you kind of foreshadow a little bit what I want to bring up as well. So again, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You can find us on every platform you can think of when it comes to audio. Video, YouTube is our primary, but we're also now on Repton Tech. We're part of their curated content, so check that out. And now we're on 99.1 FM out there in the Atlanta metro area, and Channel 10 with all their local access, public access on their footprint is the Fairfax, DC area. So definitely check us out on all the things. Greatly appreciate it. But yeah, I was going to go for pay transparency. Listen, people hate to hear that out there in the corporate world, but I think it's absolutely something that we should start discussing and trying to push a little bit more. Again, I come from a very biased background, like you two as well. The military, the paychecks are out there. We know exactly what you're making based upon rank and time of service. Like, it's completely demystified. We know exactly what you're making. Out here in the corporate world, that's not the case. So we find out stuff through leaks and things of that nature. Like Sony had a really big leak that caused issues because when you looked at Sony's corporation, you had a lot of executives and huge pay disparities. Women would be paid like 50 cents, 70 cents on the dollar compared to their male peers and things of that nature. And I think having more pay transparency will definitely shift that. But then you go into, well, that's not American, that's not capitalism, and everybody needs to negotiate and things of that nature, right? Like, we're really big on that culture of shaking hands and having meetings and fighting for your pay and stuff like that. Even I don't like that. Like, when it comes time to discuss pay and things of that nature and the interview process, I feel very uncomfortable because, again, half my life I spent in the military. I know exactly how much I should be paid based upon seniority and rank. Now I'm out here and I'm just like, because you don't want to go over, because you don't want to go under. And it's just, it's very turbulent. I don't believe it should be necessary. And I can feel for people who are going through that, especially for women. So you see me in the pink shirt. So this is because I attended the Women in Defense Greater Chapter panel a couple days ago. So depending on when you're listening to this, it was in October. So it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. They asked to wear pink. I got a pink polo. Got my Kanye 2000 fit going on. Like I only wear this twice a year. It's either Breast Cancer Awareness Month or Easter. And that's the type of pink it is. But attending the panel, man, it was refreshing to be in a room full of women in and powerful positions, right? I'm talking to CEOs, directors, executives. Like it's a room full of women who are in those higher positions, and men as well, right? There's a few men in there, but it was disproportionate to what you normally see. Normally, it'd be a room full of men with a handful of women. In this case, it was the roles were flipped, and I greatly appreciated that. So it's good to see that they have avenues and venues like that to support themselves, but it's also great to see that there are a lot more women in these positions because I think it's just beneficial to companies in that regard. Because again, this platform we talk about how diversity in thought, diversity in culture, diversity in ethnicity, like all those things help to bolster cybersecurity because you're able to see things from different perspectives. The same thing comes to business. So like, why not? Why wouldn't you want to have more women within your corporation who are in these positions that could give you a different perspective and then grow your business in that regard? Because there's just certain things we don't see as the stereotypical men versus women in some fields, and it's good to see that having that diversity can help to bolster business and help with growth. So pay them right, like give them that opportunity just like you would your male counterparts.
Well, I know in some places they're trying to get better about that. So like here in Colorado, like you'll see job listings that have a pay band, right? Like it'll show in the listing, like, hey, this is what we are offering, for this position. So like it's one of those things where, and the band can be broad depending on the job, right? And how much time you have and things of that nature. It's not saying, oh, you're automatically going to get the top end of that, where somebody is.
Yeah.
That still is based on your experience, right? Whether or not you have different qualifications, things of that nature. But it is something that's being worked towards. I'd like to see it more widespread than it is right now, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and say every state does it. I just know here in Colorado, it's something that you're starting to see more of, and it's not across the board. But another thing to bring up is that we're all girl dads, right? Like, so for me, the thing is my oldest and my youngest, my bookends, right, for my children are girls, right? So I can see it now because my oldest daughter, she is out there in the workforce, right? She is an adult. So I can see how things go for her and see how things are going for her. And then I think to myself, I'm like, okay, well, the difference between her and her sister, it's several years, you know what I mean? Like, what is it going to be like when my daughter comes up? And I'm hopeful when I see things like this, that it's going to go a better way than what I think it is, right? And the reason I think it may not go the way I wanted to, not necessarily based off job opportunities, but just the world in general and what we're seeing, right? There's so many things going on in the world. It's like, what is going to happen to my youngest when she is a young adult, when she's where my oldest is, you know what I mean? But this is a good thing to see, man. Like the inequity challenges women face are real, you know what I mean? As it is for race, well, So I'm glad to see it. Hopefully it will be something that benefits my youngest when she gets to that point, if she decides to get into a career field where it is something that is a problem, right? So I want it to be equal, right? Like, yes, progress is nice, but it being at 70 cents on the dollar for women, like if it's 90 by the time she comes up, I'm like, hey, it's still work to do, right? By the time she's older, dad probably won't be around too much longer, but still, so like, I need you to go fight this fight, baby. You know what I mean? So,
No, definitely. But well, I mean, you could put your conscience in the AI or something like that, right? That future is gonna be crazy. It's crazy out there. But
yeah, but then how will y'all
topic.
control me? Y'all can't keep the guardrails on the LLMs now. How will y'all control me? If I'm running around like Mr. Burns in The Simpsons, you know what I mean? Like in the future episode where he's the head in the jar. Futurama does the same thing where they put their heads in the jars. Yeah.
Shannon, how was your week?
Man, it was a pretty good week actually. So yesterday I took my children to this like farm that has like all these activities like pumpkin patch and paintball. Well, when I say paintball, not shooting at each other, but shooting at targets for the paintball and whatnot, right?
Out.
Yeah. Corn mazes, all that. It was a really good time. It was a few hours away from the house, but I actually had the day off from work. The children had the day off from school, so we made it work to where it was in the middle of the week. Not the middle of the week, but it was during a school day. So it was not as packed as it would be if we would have went there on a weekend, to where I could imagine it would just be crazy. But it was a really good time. They really enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it. Right, it's one of those things where I'm like, all right, we do those things we do for our children, right? So they'll enjoy it. I'm not going to enjoy it as much, but no, it was a really good time. So yeah, did that. Spent some family time with the younger two. What did I watch? I watched the show High Potential. I've talked about that. It's kind of plateaued for me, right? There's some stuff going on in the episode. I liked some stuff that was going on earlier on in the season, but we're on episode 5 now. That my wife and I watch it. We still like it. It's good, right? So, but it's worth a watch if you guys ever see it. High Potential. So, the other one we watched was Doctor Odyssey. I'm probably over that one, but whenever my wife asks to watch it, I'll probably watch it, right? Because I don't run my house. I do whatever she says. She's the home boss. So if she if she takes the time to sit down there with me and watch something, I'll be like, all right, let's watch it, baby. It's okay. But so that one, like I said, I've said this before. I was expecting House on the High Seas. I'm not really getting that, right? I'm getting a lot more drama and you know love story with love triangles and stuff like that. I'm like, I do not care. Like, I don't care, right? Like, show me, like, start doing diagnoses where you always think it's liver cancer, right? Because that's what it was on House, right? It's always liver cancer. It seemed cancer of the liver, like it's every episode, but then you find out what the real thing is. So that one is so. We'll see if it gets picked up for a second season. Even I don't know if people are really watching it based off what I'm seeing. Yeah. What else did I watch? It wasn't a lot of TV watching this week. Oh, I watched my Ravens, give it to the Buccaneers, you know what I mean? I know we don't got no Bucks fans on here.
Right, right.
That was
I
what,
enjoyed that.
yeah,
As a person who lives in Tampa but is not a Bucks fan, I enjoyed it.
yeah. Oh, so that was a good thing this week, you know what I mean? But yeah, we took care of that. So we got who do we play this week? Cleveland. And so we played this week, and we'll see how that goes. They changed out their quarterback who was not doing well, except for the day he got hurt. Like he went out for the season with a torn Achilles. That day he was having a phenomenal game. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It might be good that he's gone and they got a different quarterback in there. But it's Jameis
Yeah.
Winston. Jameis Winston is good for throwing 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions a season. So I don't know. We'll see. He might throw for 3 touchdowns, or we'll throw 3 interceptions as well. So
Right.
we'll see. We'll see what Jameis does. But that's pretty much it. I know. I know. One of you on here started watching a documentary I talked about last time. That Chimp Crazy. I did finish that up. It's wild.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, it's wild, man. Like,
Is it really?
it's you know. I like to tell myself everyone is different, right? Like everyone is different. Everyone has things they like, things of that nature. But when I see this, I'm just like I can't fathom it how someone could feel this way, right? And I don't know if I told you guys before. Like I saw an SNL skit that like put me onto it. Like they did a skit on SNL because they try to make fun of current events and stuff like that, and it
Yeah.
brought me to it. And I was just like, I am not seeing what I'm seeing here, but yeah, I was seeing what I was seeing. But and they talk about some other stuff in the documentary about other like acts and whatnot that happened in the past with chimpanzees and whatnot, like stuff that was in the news, like real stuff. And
Right.
you're just like, wow. But
It kicks off right in Florida. I knew it.
yeah,
I think it was Orlando. I was like, yep, that's us.
Give me the clip shows. I'm probably not going to watch it, but what is it about?
I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but there's this woman who she liked chimpanzees, right? So she went to this place was it Missouri? Where is it? Festus, Missouri, I think is where it was.
Yeah,
This
Festus. I was
this
like, that's a
lady,
terrible
it's a
name.
terrible name. Isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
This lady had like a sanctuary, and like she had a lot of those chimpanzees you would see in movies and whatnot, right? Like, so the ones you would see acting in movies and stuff, they actually
Okay.
came from the sanctuary that she had. But this woman was like, I wanted to be around chimpanzees, so it turned into she would spend a day there, and then it was like 3 days there, and then she eventually moved in. Well, she is she's very much into chimpanzees. And it's weird to me, right? Because she loves them so much, but she can't get into the cages with them. Like it's like it could go crazy. once they get older, right? And they actually Ryan, you haven't gotten this far yet, but she there's this one chimpanzee on there that she takes a liking to, that when PETA, because PETA is the one that's going after him, right? The ethical treatment of animals, or whatever, partnership for ethical treatment of animals, whatever it is. They finally get to go into the sanctuary and pull the remaining chimps out of there, and there's one that's missing that she says this one has died. Now, I say she says this one has died because as time goes on, you realize that may or may not be the case. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but this woman goes to extreme lengths to spend time with this chimpanzee. Yeah, it's called Chimp Crazy. And the thing is, it's weird, right? Because the guy that did this is the same guy that did Tiger King. Was that the name of the one on Netflix before? Tiger King?
They're really famous. Yeah, they're really
Excellent meme material. Tiger King is the best from memes.
It really was.
So it's the same director, but he had to hire on a proxy director because he knew they were not going to want to work with him after Tiger King, right? Because he made that other guy, Joe Tiger King, whatever his name was. So he had to hire on proxy director, which was somebody who had a past where they had actually got in trouble with the law for, like, I think it was killing exotic animals or something like that. Like, he did jail time and whatnot and paid the fine and all that. So he was more trustworthy to them, and they made it seem like he was the one doing the documentary. So that's how they got their into everything, into filming all the stuff they filmed and hearing the stories there.
I feel like it's cringy. I feel like I haven't watched it, and I feel like I'd be very like, want to like feel itchy, like while I'm watching it or something.
It is, man. It kind of is. Like, I don't understand. Again, everybody has their own thing, right? And I don't presume to know what everyone feels, but I'm just like, how do you get to this point? You know what I mean? Because like they talk about stories on there where this lady had a premature born chimp, and she breastfed it along with her other baby that she had. Like, she had a newborn baby, and she had a chimpanzee in it. Yeah, and she.
See, I was right. I didn't see anything. I feel like you're right. Yeah, hard pass on this one. I'm good. I think I don't need to watch this one.
But it's wild, man. Like, I don't know. I get in my documentary phase, and like I watch stuff that I'm like, okay, this is the human condition. This is what we're dealing with. But
this is how I know AI will take over. That's because you got people breastfeeding chimps that are premature. Yeah, I'm like, maybe you don't deserve to be around. Like, I feel like, I don't know. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. Tell the aliens to take us all at once. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Oh, but that's been my week. What about you, Daniel, man? What you on to?
I've been for a while, man. It's been good. Sick and not sick. Like, the temperature is crazy. It's like raining. It's hot. It's freezing. It's raining again. I've been like sneezing my butt off. I got sick for a while. Felt better. Got sick again. But in between all that, right, we did some cool things. I don't know if I told you guys we went to Disney for a weekend. So we did that.
Okay. So how is Disney Japan? Like, so what Disneys have you been to in the States?
All of them. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been the ones in Orlando.
Okay. So
the ones in California.
Right. So Disney World is in Florida, Disneyland in California, the original. Disneyland Paris, and then you have China, Japan. So I've only been to the world like all the time because we live here. We live here, right? And then Paris, and I was disappointed at Disneyland Paris because it's so tiny. But I hear it's closer to Disneyland than Disney World. So what's
California's kind of small. California's kind of small. But one in Japan, it's still not as big as like the one in Orlando. I think Orlando's is like massive. It's just way too big. It's very American sized. It's very large.
Extra large.
There's 4 different parks in it, right? It's 4 different parks in Disney World.
Four parks, and they're always expanding. Like they're always they pretty much own a town. Like that's Disney is its own township.
So the one in Japan, they opened up a new park in one of the parks. So it's got the Chicks from Frozen, it's got Tangled and some other stuff. Since it's new, it's nice. It's really nice. I want to say we went on a Friday or a Thursday. We went on a day that's like in the middle of the week. It was like no holidays, nothing, and it was packed. And when I mean packed, over there, it's not Japanese culture, but they don't mind waiting in line a long time to do things like restaurants or anything. It's like very normal for them. So we got there, I think 6:00 in the morning to wait for the park to open.
And what I mean, there was lines. I'll send you guys some videos so you can see what I'm talking about. It's insane. What I mean, it's insanity. It's insanity. It's
I can only
like,
imagine because everything's so orderly over there, right? Like as opposed to the
yeah,
States, we're just like we're just all over each other.
yeah. So it's crazy. So yeah, it's like where the ticketing booths are, like where you go into the park for the first time. So it's like individual lines, one next to each other, and then there's people like lined up from the beginning to end orderly. Like there's no craziness, but people get there early and they put like mats down and just chill there until the park opens, and then it's just everybody goes inside. And then now I think the same thing in the U.S. in Orlando is like once you get into the park, since it's the new part of the park, you have to get on the app to try to get reservations for the times for the rides or
Yeah,
for the
like the
shows and the
lanes and
events.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but over there it's like just to get on the rides. So it's a new part of the park. You have to go online through the app to get the time slot for those rides. And if you can't get it, you can't even go to into that part of the park. So, and obviously, I don't know any of this stuff. It's because my wife told me all this stuff and she researches it and she planned it. But I felt kind of bad because you'll see foreigners, Americans and Europeans that'll go to try to get into that part of the park, and the staff will explain it to them, and then they're not able to go into that part of the park, and that's the whole reason why they're there, and they're finding out
Oh,
at that
okay,
moment.
gotcha.
So
So I
you see
feel
them,
bad for
you see
them.
them downloading the app right then, like, okay, well
Yeah,
now
the entrance of where the new part of the park is, and then they're like, "Sorry, we can't let you in," and they're like a little kind of obviously they're angry. So I feel bad for them, but I kind of like I don't feel bad for them. I'm like, hey, you came all this way over here already. Like maybe you should have like figured that out, you know. But that's just probably me being mean. But I mean, I don't know. So we did that, and then last weekend we went to a prefecture in Japan called Tochigi. So it's like 2 hours by bullet train north of Tokyo. So it's like kind of out in wilderness. It's gorgeous. In this town called Nikko. So Nikko. So in Nikko, there's a part that's really famous for like its onsens. So we went to this like resort there that had its own onsen. It's really pretty. I've uploaded a couple of videos. I took a bunch of video to try to like stitch together my first like YouTube video, and I realized the way I recorded everything, it's probably gonna be YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. But the place was like absolutely like beautiful, beautiful. It's like a really old looking hotel, but when you come inside, I think they must have renovated all of it, and it's beautiful. I'll shoot you guys some videos, and then hopefully I can make a Instagram for the blog and the video blog soon, so that I'll just start uploading it to there. You guys can follow
Yeah,
that.
yeah, definitely.
Um,
Like people love travel blogs, but people, I mean me, I love travel
yeah,
blogs.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the more I think about it, I was like, it's a little intimidating, right? Because this space is very occupied already. Like there's a lot of travel blogs, especially there's a lot of foreigners here in Japan now that do this a lot. But at the end of the day, I thought about it. Even if it's just like a memory of me going to these places with my, I'm gonna enjoy it, and I'm gonna enjoy having all this stuff captured 20 years from now. So I'm still gonna go ahead and do it, even if it's just for me and my family. So, and if you guys want to watch it, I hope you enjoyed it. That video taking, I'll hopefully get better as time goes along. So I'm doing that. I realized that WordPress sucks, and making a website on WordPress is more time consuming than I realized. So I went on Fiverr with a couple of different websites, and I found somebody that I'm probably going to be working with to pay to make
Okay.
my blog website and get some hours back to my life, then try to do it myself.
Yes. Thank you for going that
Yeah,
route because now I can learn through you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
want to know how the process goes because yeah, I don't like ramcyber.io is doing nothing right now. It's just a splash page, and I don't have the time. I'm not going to be doing like I
No,
want to hire somebody.
it's not this. I remember I did a couple websites back in the day, and I was kind of like on WordPress was like another website, and I was like, it's not that difficult. And now I'm just like clicking through boxes, and I'm like, it's not looking the way I want it to look. And I was like, I'm just not going to spend another 2 hours to figure this out and watch another like two YouTube videos. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I'll pay some guy in India $100 or $200 and or like whatever it costs, and I'll
Right.
just have him do it. Like the one guy I found, he's got like a gazillion rating, and he's like $100 maybe at most. And I was like, yes, this is I spent more money on dumber crap in my life. $100 sounds amazing right now. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So content wise though, Shogun's amazing. Surprising fact: if you win a bunch of awards, usually the shows are good. This one is
I still haven't finished it
insane.
yet. I haven't finished it yet.
We're like in
It's
episode.
great. I just haven't jumped in it.
Yeah, I'm like we're episode like 4 or 5. It's really good. It's really good. one of the main protagonists, the Japanese actor, I forgot his name right now, who's in The Last Samurai. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's the one that actually directed it. I didn't know that. Man, he honestly, though there's going to be a season 2, it probably won't be as good as season 1 because I really think it's like a masterpiece. That's how well he did this thing. So we stopped watching it, not because we didn't want to watch it. We just haven't had time to get back to like watching it. Usually by the time we put our kids to bed, it's like late. And then we're like watching an episode or two and they're hour long. So it's like a commitment, but it's been amazing. On the non-human people animated style stuff, I started watching Thousand Year Blood War because you said that the animation was really pretty, and then I saw something that season 3 came out. Yeah, season 3 came out, and like the first couple episodes has like some of the highest ratings that any anime's ever had. I'm like, wait a minute, why? How could this be so good? So then I started watching it, and for me, I was like, I don't get what's so great about it. And then I hit episode 6 of the first season, and then like I was like, oh my god, like the animation is kind of like, yeah, it is like, and it is a waste of time because it's a continuation of the original. So it's like, hey, we know you know everything already about the story and all these people. So it's just like, it got into the fighting like right off the bat. It like wasted no time. So that's pretty cool. So it's an easy to watch. The episodes are really short, which I like too. So I'm watching it on Hulu. I'm enjoying it a lot. And I think that's about it. I'm pretty sure I've watched some other stuff, but I can't think of anything right now. And it's kind of like a really fast recap of my last 2 weeks. Where have you been getting into, Ryan? Hopefully no more getting sick though.
Yeah, getting over a cold. But so I got a little bit of media in, like, so super busy week. Grateful for everything that went down. So obviously we are now rolling on 99.1 FM as well as Channel 10. So amazing. I also asked you, Shannon, did you ever watch Channel 10? Because you're from that area, but
I can't remember. I was a little farther north than that. I was a little farther north about in Maryland, right?
Okay.
So like you're saying Fairfax, Virginia, and DC. I was a little farther north than that, so it might have been a different channel at the time. But like, yeah, no, I can't remember, man. You asked me to go back years and years and years.
Right. A couple decades.
Well,
Couple decades. You're like, yeah, I remember that. But yeah, so super excited for all that. That contest rolling now, or will be rolling shortly. I was on the Women in Defense for the Tampa, the Greater Tampa Areas chapter. Amazing. Like I had a great time. You see me in the pink polo, like looking like Kanye from 2003. But yeah, I had an amazing time. Met a lot of really great people. My co-panelist, Jatera, she was amazing. And then our host, Kurt Sanger, he's also amazing at what he does. But yeah, it was just great to meet all of the people who were in that room. Shout out to I got hooked up through Paragon, the friend I was stationed with back in Turkey. So Winnie Rivera, shout out to her. She put me in contact with Courtney Jackson, who was a Navy vet and the CEO of Paragon. And
Nice.
that's how I got into the event. So yeah, definitely really cool. I want to do one of those, I say a year. So now I'm going to broaden my horizons. I've done that back to back for my first year out of the military, now my second year almost out of the military. So now I want to do quarterly.
Nice.
But yeah, like after, like I'm a very introverted person. So after all that this week, I crawled into my coffin, my sarcophagus, like a vampire, because I had expended so much energy. But yeah, I think I'm going to go quarterly now to events and things of that nature, just to pump up the podcast. Podfest is coming up in January, so I might try to attend that. It's in Orlando.
Nice.
So I really don't have an excuse not to. So I might try to, like first year I was out, I was like, nope, not going to that. But now year 2, I'm like, okay, maybe I should go up there, meet some people, talk, all that good stuff. What else? There was one more thing. It was the podcast. It was the panel, dark reading. So we had a lot of dark reading episodes or articles this week. So dark reading published an article that I worked with ISC2 on, and it goes about my transition from the military into cybersecurity, both private and federal, and just that time of my life, which wasn't that long ago, and how I found my tribe, so to speak, within this community. So definitely check that out if you have not already. It's on Dark Reading. You can actually look me up now. I have an article out there on a very important platform, for cybersecurity. And we talk about the podcast as well. So I'm hoping for a little influx, little activity coming from there, right? Kind of a veiled advertisement, right? So we'll see how that goes. And then yeah, that was a lot. That's a lot for me. So I'm pretty much worn out.
We're not gonna be like, man, you changed here in a couple weeks.
No,
You out
no,
here doing
definitely
all
not.
these big things, man. Be like, man, Ryan, you changed, man.
Definitely not. Definitely not. But when it came to media, so I watched the first episode of Chimp Crazy. Man, like it weirds me out. It's really good though. It's a really good documentary. Like if you can't go into the cage with the animal that you so cold love, then you shouldn't have it, right? Like people shouldn't have tigers. People shouldn't have chimps and things of that nature because they will do things that wild animals do to you. And that's why you have them barricaded away from you. So I feel as though you're only punishing the animal in that case. Like, yeah, you get to look at it every day, but just go to a zoo, go on a safari and walk around. I mean, like that chimp does not want to be in that cage. And if you open that door, is he going to come out and hug you? He come out and box you.
That chimp will rip her face out
Yeah.
and go to the jungle without even think about it twice.
Right.
It's
That's not a good idea.
chimp is that chimp will.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning through the show.
And they hint on that, and they actually show. So like as you get in the later episodes, the one up in I want to say it was Oregon, could have been Connecticut or Vermont or somewhere, wherever it was. The one that ripped the lady's face off and was biting at her fingers, ripped her jaw, and they had like crime scene photos. Like the police officer that ended up shooting it was one that had been around the chimpanzee for years. You know what I mean? Like when it was out in the city when it was smaller, right? And the lady would pick it out. He was the one that had to shoot it. And like when he shot it, it didn't immediately die. Like the thing walking the house to its area, yo.
Crazy. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm watching that. I also started, there's a new show on Max called It's Florida, Man. It's Florida Man. And they do reenactments of stuff that happened in Florida. It's hilarious. So I watched one episode of that.
Sounds funny. That sounds really funny.
Yeah, so I watched one episode of that. It's wild. I'm just like, yep, that's where I live at. Can't wait for the new GTA. This is definitely going to highlight that this place is crazy. And then I watched something else. I watched a little bit of the Agatha show. It's growing on me, but I just I don't know if it's going to capture my I want another season or not. But I'm waiting for the big cameo or the twist or whatever to pop up. So I'm kind of getting through that. And then game wise, still playing Space Marine 2. So I wanted to shout out to Derek McMillan wrote me on YouTube, and I'm terrible at writing people back. But he says, Ryan, I was waiting for you to discover Space Marine. LOL. I'm surprised y'all haven't got to Black Myth Wukong. That's coming up. So my thing is, I don't get a lot of gaming in like I want to, but I'm waiting for Black Myth to go on sale on Steam, and I'm going to get it for the PC because I've seen the visuals look amazing. Derek McMillan.
I love it. Derek, you're right. Black Myth is amazing. Message Ryan, tell him to buy it. It's so good. It's so good.
Like Black Friday is right around the corner. Like I'm gonna get there. Like two more weeks, and I'm gonna have a bunch of games I probably ever have time to play.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm still playing through Space Marine 2. It's my introduction to PC gaming after I haven't PC gamed in almost 2 decades. It was very easy to jump into it. It's beautiful. It supports 32:9. I had the super ultra wide. It looks gorgeous. It runs great. It's like Gears of War on steroids. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, the reviews on that one are like insanely good. Like I haven't seen one.
It's real good. It's real good. Like I don't know if I'll get deep into the lore because it seems like it's very deep. So I don't know if I'll get into that part. But what I've experienced so far, I really do enjoy. But I started Call of Duty as well. So Call of Duty dropped. It's on Game Pass, so obviously I can download it on my Xbox and my PC. I started playing the campaign. It's really good. I haven't played, to be honest with you, I haven't played a Call of Duty campaign since Ghost, and that was 11 years ago. So like they might have all been good since then, but Ghost was not. So that's when it kind of turned me off to it.
They haven't been. Honestly, it's been the best one they've released in a while. Like
it's real
multiplayer. It's got all the OGs, like the memes. All the memes are coming out. It's like downloading. I saw a meme today. It's like downloading COD when you're over your 30s, and it's like Michael Jordan joining the Wizards. Like after retirement, it's like you see all the OGs coming back to play because it really is good. It really is fun.
Yeah, so I like what and it's based in the 90s. So I'm walking around this political forum and they're talking about Clinton running for president and like he's on the stage and they have like campaign ads and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I run across a side conversation and they're talking about the Bills versus Giants game. I'm like, what? What a deep cut, right? Yeah, I was like, what a deep cut. So I actually stopped what I was doing. I was just listening to the NPCs talking to each other about the game. I was like, yo, that's crazy. So I usually when we play these games, they're talking about like World War II and Vietnam, and you know what I mean, like they go real deep. But like, yeah, they're just talking about the '90s. Like I was like a teenager in the '90s, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, it's pretty cool. I'm probably not going to touch multiplayer at all. I don't feel bad because I didn't pay for the game, right? It's part of Game Pass.
Yep.
I'm learning the difference. Like I didn't PC game because it's complicated, right? I play Space Marine 2 through Steam. I'm spoiled. Everything just works. It's flawless. Call of Duty is not that. So Call of Duty on the console, you just hit the button, right? Xbox makes that ping noise. You start playing. It's all good. Call of Duty on the PC is a little bit more cumbersome. I had to adjust settings, right? Like because I told it like it read like all the stuff my PC could do, and it still was off. So I had to go through and play with settings. Better 1, better 2, better 3, better 4. So finally I got it looking like amazing. It runs really good. I'm like, I have like everything maxed out and I'm still like 134 frames per second or whatever. So like you can't knock it for that, but it will randomly crash. Like it'll like jump to a cutscene, freeze, and then just boop, you're off.
That's
You're
PC,
back to the desktop.
It's PC gaming. That's why
Yeah, I
I've
was
stuck
like,
to console.
I don't like that.
I'm a simple man. I just want to press the button on the box. I just want things to boot up, and I just want to play my game.
Yeah. So it makes me appreciate like obviously console gaming in general. Like I'm probably always gonna be a console gamer, but also Steam. Steam is just better than every other platform on the PC so far. Steam just works. Like so, Steam is the console-esque version for the PC.
Yeah, that's why they're like that segment of the market. They're pretty much the top.
Yeah, I haven't had any issues with Space Marine. I haven't tried anything else out yet, so like take that with a grain of salt. But like Space Marine just works. And then I also have Control and Star Wars Outlaws, but Star Wars Outlaws is through a different platform. So we'll see. Like there's just too many marketplaces. Like when I cut on the Xbox, it just works. I cut on my PS5, it just works, right?
It's just
I got like 3 different. I got Xbox store, I got the Epic Store, I got Steam, and now I have and then COD is its own platform within Game Pass. That's crazy.
Yep.
It's too much. It's too much. But
it's
if a game has 32x9, I'm playing on the PC. All that real estate, it's just gorgeous, right? So, like if you're 16x9 or was it 21x9 is regular ultra wide, yeah, I'll play you on the TV. But
yeah, so you know Ryan's a sizist when it comes to monitors and TVs.
I am.
What did I just say? Like you're going to new conferences and everything, Ryan. You changed. See what I'm talking about? It
did change. I was a snob before the conferences.
That's true.
Ryan's always been a size queen when it comes to monitors and TV.
Hey, listen. I'm big into town. I don't care about fashion. I don't care about cars. But you give me some tech, man. Listen, I want the best of the best. But for the new listeners, right? But yeah, that's pretty much my week. Like again, I wrote a appreciative post on LinkedIn. You know, most weeks are good. Some are great. This one has been outstanding. This was an outstanding week. So I appreciate everyone for like our day one fans, for my co-hosts, for my friends over at ISC2 for hooking me up with Dark Reading, and then for Paragon and their team for hooking me up with the Women in Cyber Defense panel. So I've had an outstanding week. So again, I'm gonna crawl into my crypt to recharge. Come out just in time for Mariah Carey to be singing Christmas carols.
Nice.
Is the plan. But definitely hit up all the websites to go by our name, The Other Side of the Firewall, The Other Side of the FW, Ask a CISSP. Hit up the newsletter. We have over 1,600 subs. I think this one was really good, like a really good balance this week. So definitely check that one out. Check us out on all the platforms. Again, we're on every audio platform you can think of, YouTube, Repton Tech, and now you can check us out on 99.1 FM as well as Channel 10. Definitely give us your feedback. We greatly appreciate it, and I will try to write you back. I'm terrible at it, or I'll shout you out on the show because that's easier for me, right? So again, hit us up by all those places. I'm RY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much on every platform. That's RY Security Guy. But LinkedIn is my bread and butter. And where can they find you, Daniel?
On LinkedIn under my name,
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.